Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over a warmer pattern for the central United States with a bit of colder air along the west coast. So we're going to be timing this upcoming week for you guys, and we'll be showing you when to expect those warmer temperatures and the colder temperatures, and we'll even have a little bit of snow up in the Rockies. So we'll be talking about all of that and more in today's video. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below and I'll answer within a few hours of you posting that. So let's get right into it, and let's start off with your current National Weather Service page. As you can see, we have a few flood watches in southern Texas, as well as some air quality alerts in effect for central California. We have some winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories up in Alaska, but other than that, we really have very little watches or warnings for a good majority of the United States. I would say over closer to 98% of the country probably does not have any watches or warnings up right now. So really quiet day in terms of weather. Yesterday we had a high temperature of 102 degrees Fahrenheit in Zapata, Texas. The low temperature was at 9 degrees, tied between 14 miles west southwest of McKay, Idaho, and also Peter Sinks, Utah. Both of them got down to 9 degrees. Highest rainfall report of 4.23 inches in Evening Shade, Arkansas, and the highest snowfall report was 5 miles east-southeast of Black Lake, New Mexico, where they got 2.7 inches of snowfall. So here would be the temperature anomaly map. So this is going to show you how far above or below normal the temperatures are expected to be. In the red colors and the orange, which you see up for the northern United States and all the way up in Canada as well, that's where you would be seeing those warmer temperatures. And then if you're in a blue color or a green shade, you would be under some colder temperatures. So it would be a little bit chillier than normal. Although this time of year, it's not really going to make a big impact. This morning it was a little bit colder for some spots, but it looks like by tomorrow and into Sunday especially, it'll start to warm up for most areas excluding the south central US. It might linger on with those colder temperatures for a little bit longer down through there. So this would be for tomorrow. You can see that we do have some warmer temperatures in through the northern and eastern United States. So a rather big swath of the country where we have near normal or above normal temperatures. It might be a couple degrees below the average, nothing really too severe in the southern plains. And the main reason for that is because of rain and thunderstorm activity, which is taking place down there in the southern plains. So that should, especially with the cloud cover, cool down the entire area over there for maybe a couple of days. It should be maybe just a couple degrees below normal. So nothing really too serious and nothing too severe. We do have a little bit of cold air, which is going to start to expand. You can see it up there in Washington as well as British Columbia, and that's going to start to kind of seep down into the western United States, and it'll really intensify by next week. So this will be by Sunday, and you can see that we do have some more of those warmer temperatures over a good portion of the country. We have a few pockets here and there maybe that are going to be a little bit below normal, but for a vast majority of the country, we're going to be under some warmer temperatures. We're looking at about 5 to 15 degrees above normal for most areas, so fairly warm. And again, this time of year, temperatures are normally still in the 60s, 70s, even some areas the 80s, and it looks like if you're a few degrees above normal, that might push your high temperatures now into the 70s, or even again in some spots into the 80s. So that'll definitely be nice. It'll kind of reverse itself from the slightly chillier pattern that much of the eastern U.S. has been under for the past couple of days. Here to be for Monday, and you can see nothing really changes. You have some really warm temperatures compared to normal in the northern plains as well as central and eastern Canada. And that's, again, mainly due to a high pressure, which is just kind of sitting over these areas. I know I have a viewer from central Canada, and he's been talking about pretty much over the entire summer about how dry it's been up there in Canada. So that's been because of this high pressure, which even when it does move, you pretty much have just another one right behind it that replaces it. So this high pressure is going to kind of act as a dome around this entire area with warmer temperatures but also drier conditions. So they do need some rain up there, and they haven't gotten all that much. And if you look at the forecast models, we're not expecting all that much rain to move up there as well over the next 10 days. So not a good situation right there. Hopefully they can get a bit of rain, especially into the winter time. If they can get some more snow, that'll eventually melt off into a bit of moisture. Here before Tuesday, and this is when the real push of cold air starts in from the west. So you can see right up along British Columbia and the Pacific Northwest, we have some of those colder temperatures still very warm into central Canada as well as the northern plains. And then we have some more neutral temperatures into the eastern and southern United States. So you're going to be a couple degrees above or below normal in those areas, but nothing that's going to be too far on either extreme. Here would be for Wednesday. You can see those colder temperatures now starting to move a little bit further to the south. So every single day you're going to see that move a little bit further south, but on the other side of the Rockies into areas like Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas, also up into Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario. All those areas are dealing with really, really warm temperatures compared to normal. We're looking at about 15 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit above normal, which would be around 5 to about 15 degrees Celsius above normal. So really, really warm temperatures right there. If we look at for Thursday, you can see that we're dealing with still those warmer temperatures into the central United States and the central part of Canada, but that colder air is now starting to make its way a little bit further to the south. So now it's reaching all the way down into Arizona, New Mexico, California. So those areas now starting to get in on some of the colder temperatures, still quite warm up into Canada and the northern part of the United States. If you look at for Friday of next week, which is the last day that we're going to look at for the temperature anomalies, but you can see very warm into the central United States as well as up into Canada, with a bit of a colder area over California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, all those areas dealing with colder temperatures. And even though it looks like it's going to be fairly chilly, you're looking at 25 degrees below normal in some of the spots. In reality, for most spots of the Southwest, it is still so warm that even if it is 15 degrees below normal, that's only into the 60s and the 70s. So it's nothing that's going to be awfully chilly. We're not expecting anything below freezing or even approaching freezing unless you live in the higher elevations of California, Nevada, Washington, or Oregon, or even Idaho. So you're going to have to get into the higher elevations to really see anything that would be even close to severe from these temperatures. If we look at the expected high temperatures, and we're going to play this through the entire week, you can see that we do start off with a fairly normal pattern. We really don't have too many anomalies on either side as we get into Saturday. By Sunday, you can see it does warm up a little bit into the central United States. So you're dealing with high temperatures into the mid 70s and along the southern United States, even getting up into the 80s. So it is warming up for those spots. If we move this on to Monday, you can see that, especially watch out for this area right here. This area is going to really start to warm up. So this is by Monday. We're dealing with temperatures in the mid 80s for those spots. And if we look at for Tuesday, you can see that line of colder temperatures starting to approach a little bit further to the south. But this area in that kind of black circle also continues to warm up. So this pressure gradient, where we have that high pressure right here and this low pressure, this big air mass of low pressure right here, is creating that temperature divide, which would set up somewhere right in there. So we're having somewhat of a divide right along the Canadian and US border, and that should cause, again, some colder temperatures to the west, and to the east of there we'll have some warmer conditions. It gets even warmer into Wednesday for that spot up in the northern plains as well as the prairies in parts parts of Canada. And then in the northwest, it is getting significantly cooler. Even the lower elevations only getting their high temperatures up into the 50s by this point. If we move on to Thursday, which would be October 7th, you can see that it does cool down quite significantly for the northern plains and central Canada, although it is still a couple degrees above the normal, and it is still quite chilly for the west, although it's not going to be super cold, especially in the southwest. It's just that environment is not really going to cool down until probably November, unless you live in the higher elevations. And then if we look at for Friday, you can see it does get chillier as a whole for the west, but again, still some parts of the southwest still up into the 60s, 70s, and even 80s. The central plains also getting into the 80s and even 90s down near Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and then the rest of the eastern United States pretty standard into the 60s, 70s, or even some lower 80s. If we look at why this is happening, we're going to look at the upper air map. You can see that we do have a little bit of a colder air mass, an area of low pressure into the southern plains. So if you remember the first couple of days, so for tomorrow, also Sunday, Monday, there was a little bit of chillier air still lingering into the southern plains. That's because of this right here. This is bringing in some rainfall to the southern plains, and that should help to cool down those spots. But we do have general high pressure into the northern and western United States. So the rest of the country dealing with fairly warm temperatures. If you do live in northern or central New England, you might be in a little bit of a microclimate where you have some colder temperatures, and the only reason that is because of this storm up into the Atlantic provinces of Canada, which is sitting up there, and you can see that it is bringing in some colder northwesterly winds into parts of areas like Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. So those areas will be a little bit chillier than normal, but again, the rest of the country looking fairly warm. Here would be by Monday of this upcoming week, and you can see that we have that low pressure into the mid-Mississippi River Valley, and then we have this big area of high pressure into the central part of Canada. We have more low pressure moving in to western Canada and also northwestern Canada. So those areas are where we're dealing with the colder conditions, and that's going to continue to move further to the south, and that's what's going to be bringing those colder temperatures. So you can see that by Thursday, we have this completely inverted trough where we have a little bit of a colder pattern along the west coast. We have very warm conditions into central and eastern Canada, and then we have more milder conditions into the southeast. Not necessarily above or below normal. It will probably be right around the average temperature. So it is a very complex setup that we do have because of how all these systems are interacting. And then if we look at for Friday of next week, you can see that this low pressure dips all the way down into the western United States, all the way down into California. We have that high pressure moving on to the east, so finally you'll get a little bit of a break from the heat in areas like Manitoba, Ontario, Saskatchewan, the Dakotas, Minnesota, Montana, Wyoming. All those areas will get a little bit of a break from the heat, but areas like eastern Ontario, Quebec, northern New England, those areas might warm up by next week. And then eventually this area of colder temperatures will move to the east, and we'll see this whole cycle continue once again. So it might be mild for the first couple of weeks of October, but most likely into November, we're going to be pretty much set up perfectly for a bit of a colder pattern. So we'll have to see whether that comes in the form of snow or whether it's more of a dry pattern. We'll see. I'll have some videos on those events if they do happen. If we get any snow, I'll be covering that. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below, and again, I'll be responding within a few hours of you posting that. And that is going to wrap it up for today's video. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.